Hello students, ready for the in the last lecture, we just have discussed the C++ data types. In the same lecture, we also discussed the different types of data types that we can use in our C++ programming language. Okay, as discussed in the last lecture, we all know that the data types are the types or the data types are used to specify the which kind of operation that we can perform on the different types of data, as well as it is used to specify in which form or in which format we can save or we can store the data on your computer system. Okay, so the C++ data type specifies the type of data in which you are going to store. You want to store data in computer system. And it also specifies the operations that can be performed on the data. Okay, so this is nothing but the data types. As discussed in the last lecture, we are having three types of data types. The first one is there, that is primitive. Then second one is there, that is derived, and the last one, the third one is that is user defined. Now, in the last lecture itself, we just have discussed what is the primitive data type, then what are the derived data type, what are the example of derived data type that we discussed in the last lecture, and the last one is that is user defined data types. So, in the last lecture itself, we also have defined or discussed what are the user defined data types. Okay. In today's lecture, we are going to study these three types of data types in more detail. Okay, we are going to discuss all these three types of data types in more detail. So let us start with the first one. Okay. Let us start with the first one, that is primitive data type. Okay, the first one is that is primitive data types. We already have discussed these primitive data types. What are these primitive data types? These are the built-in data types which can be used in our program, right? And such a kind of primitive data types are defined by the computer system, right? Are defined by the computer system. These kind of primitive data types are having fixed size, right? So these are the different points that we have discussed about these primitive data types. In the last lecture itself, we have discussed different examples of these primitive data types. What are those examples? We just discussed character data type, then integer was there, then float is there, double is there, and void is there, etc. These are the 5 basic primitive data types that we are going to use in our programs, C++ program. Okay, so character, integer, float, double, void. We are also having some more primitive data types that we can say that boolean boolean is there. Okay. You can also use this boolean data type bool. Okay. So in today's lecture, we are just going to discuss every data type, every primitive data type with respect to its size, with respect to its meaning, and with respect to its syntax. Means these all the primitive data types we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, so let us try to understand these primitive data types. The first column is there, that is data type. Okay, these 5 data types are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This data type is there. Then we are going to have meaning. Okay, meaning is there. Then we are going to discuss the size. What size it is going to take on your computer system, that you are going to discuss under this size meaning. And the last one is there that we can have, that is syntax. Okay, that is syntax. So let us start with the first data type, first primitive data type. We will go according to the size, right? We will discuss it according to the size, and I will start with the first data type, that is boolean. Okay, that was not in your first 5 primitive data type, but we will start with this boolean data type. Okay, bool data type is there. Okay, data type is bool. Then we can use meaning of this is boolean. Okay, the meaning of this bool data type is boolean, means we can store the boolean values, right? Which kind of boolean values are there? They are having 2 boolean values, either true or false. We also know that this true and false as true as 1, this false as 0. Means whenever you are going to declare a boolean data type or boolean variable, that boolean variable is going to have a 1 byte value, right? That is either 1 or either 0, right? So the size that boolean variable is going to have is 1 byte. The size is exactly byte. Okay, so the boolean data type is there. The meaning is it is going to, or it is used to store the boolean values on your computer's memory. It is going to occupy the 1 byte memory space, right? 1 byte memory space will be occupied by such a kind of boolean type data variables. Okay, the syntax is there. Syntax means in which way you are going to define, or in which way you are going to declare your boolean variables. Okay, so keyword is there, that is bool, right? Which is nothing but data type. You can have a variable name, that is test, and if you want to assign, so this is just a bool test. This is nothing but a variable declaration. Test is a variable of type bool. Right? You can also assign a value to this variable in the same statement. Right? We can call it as a declaration. So test is equal to. Now, what value can this boolean variable can store? It can store either true or false. So we can write down either true, or you can also write down, let us see, test 1 is there, that is false. Bool test is equal to true, bool test 1 is equal to false. Now, whenever you are in your program, you are going to print the value of this test variable, it will return either true, or if you want to print the value of your test 1 variable, it will return false. Right? Means in this variable, you are going to store the value as true or false, and in binary code, if true has value 1 and false has value 0, means it is going to print either 1 or 0. Right? So this is nothing but a syntax to declare the Boolean data type variables. Right? So this is syntax for Boolean case. You just don't have to use any kind of quotation there. Write down for semicolon is mandatory. Then second data type that we can discuss is character. Yesterday we just discussed that second type of data type, that is character. Okay? Now this character, what is the meaning of this char data type? The meaning of this char data type is we can store the character value in a variable or in that particular memory space. If the meaning is character, right? With the help of this char data type, we can save the character value at some particular memory space. Okay? What is the size for that character? Again, 1 byte is there. With the help of this character data type, only 1 byte value we can store on our computer system. Right? What is the syntax? Same syntax. Character data type, char, right? You can use any variable, right? Char, let us see bg or w. Okay? Char, bg. In that you can store A, B, O, right? Only one character will be there. If you use A plus, it will not print A plus as a your blood group. It will only print the first character, that is A. Right? So, as it utilizes only 1 byte memory space on your computer, it will only represent that first byte. Right? Means the next character that you want to insert into that BG will not be inserted. So, let us say A, B, C. Right? Character, this is your data type, variable you have defined, right? And you just have visualized the value as A into your BG. Okay? So this is the second data type, char data type, which is going to hold a data which is in type character, right? The data type, that memory space is going to hold, that will be a character data. Size will be 1 byte. Then next we are having is integer. For this integer, we are going to use data type as an int. Okay? Int. It is going to hold integer data, right? This integer int variable or int data type is going to hold the data of type integer, right? How much size will be there? How much memory will be occupied to hold such a kind of integer data? Previously, while studying the C programming language, you might heard that the size of this integer data type occupied in your memory space is 2. But for the latest C++ compilers, the size that will be occupied for integer data type will be 4. Means in the latest C++ compiler, how much size will be allocated when you initialize or when you define the integer variables? The 4 bytes of memory space will be allocated. Okay. So latest compilers, they are having 4 byte memory space. Then how will be the syntax? What will be the syntax? The syntax will be integer, right? Integer, let's say age. Integer age. Age equal to, I'm saying, suppose 41. integer age equal to 31. Right? Means with the help of this integer data type, we can say the only integer value, only your numbers, not floating point numbers, only numbers. Decimal numbers are not will not be stored in your integer data type. Okay, so this is the third type of your data type, integer. It will store the integer values in your variable space or in your computer's memory. Size will be 4 for the latest C++ compilers, and the syntax will be integer age is equal to 31. Okay, so this is the third data type. Then next is there is fourth data type, which is the fourth after integer. The fourth one is there, that is float. The fourth one is there, that is float. With the help of this float data type, we are going to store floating values into your memory space. Again, with the help of this float data type, we can use the 4-byte memory space. The same memory space will be allocated for integer and float. That is nothing but 4. But the value that we can store in the integer will be different, and in the float will be different. Now see, if you observe the syntax, float pi is equal to, right? Float pi is equal to, we all know that the value of pi, that is the number 3.43. Means whenever if I declare the pi variable as an int, here if I am going to print or I am going to use the pi in our program, at that time it will take only 3 as a value of pi. But whenever I am going to use it as a float variable, it will take or it will use the value of pi as a decimal number, that is 3.40. Means whenever you want to use the decimal numbers or the decimal values, at that time we just have to use the data type, that is nothing but float. Okay, so this is the fourth data type, that is float. Then fifth one is there. That is the float we are having double. After float we are having double. Now what is this double data type? Double data type is going to store the double floating value. It is going to store the double size floating value. Means the size that is allocated for such a kind of double data type, that will be 8 bytes. Okay, the size which will be allocated to use such a kind of double data type, that will be 8. Now see the syntax. Float, again double I am using, okay, double. Again the value of pi. We all know that generally we are going to use the value of pi as 3.40. But we all know that the value of pi is so long, that is 3.40 something. Right? Whenever you just want to use the value, the real value of pi having the large number of decimal points, or the after decimal we are having the large number of numbers. Okay, at that time we are going to use the double. The total value will be stored in your computer's memory space. Double I is equal to 3.14, and all the next digits that we are having after the 14 will be stored at the memory space. Okay. As it is having the 8 byte of memory space. After this double, we are having the last one that we discussed yesterday, that is nothing but wide data type. Okay, wide data type, you all know that it is its meaning is that is it is an empty data type. Okay, it is empty data type. As it is an empty data type, the size which is required to store such a kind of data type is 0. Right? No size will be there occupied by that variable which is declared by the void. Actually, we are not going to use to declare such a kind of data type to declare the variables. It can be used only before the your main statements. Then there are some methods or some functions where you can use this void data type. Okay, so these are all the primitive data types we just discussed with respect to its meaning, its size, and its syntax. Okay, so this is all about the primitive data types. We just discussed 6 primitive data types. The first one was there, that is boolean. After that, we are having integer. After that, float. We are having double, void, and we also discussed the character data type. Okay, this is all about your primitive data types. This depending on the value that you want to store on your computer system, you are going to use these data types. If you want to store the integer number on your computer, or if you want to use the integer value in your program, at that time you need to initialize that variable as an integer. Right? If you want to use a decimal number in your program, at that time you need to use this floating value. Right? If your decimal number is large number, at that time you can use this decimal. If you want to have this, use the character, you can use character data. Right? So depending on this, we are all having this primitive data types. Okay, so this is all about your primitive data type. Then second we are having is integer. Sorry, second we are having your derived data types. Okay, we all know that what are the different derived data types. First, statement and float. Array is there, function is there, and pointer is there. Data type, its meaning, then size and syntax. Okay. Data type, meaning, size and syntax. We will again discuss the derived data type with respect to the same meaning, with respect to size, and with respect to syntax. So first data type that we are having is array. The general definition of array that we are having is a collection of homogeneous data type. Right? If you want to make a collection of same data type value, at that time you can use this array. Right? So it is a collection of homogeneous data types. Right? Now the size of this array is going to depend on the data type that we are going to use, which type of data type we are going to use, and the size of array and size of array. In those two things, the actual size of this array is going to be decided. right? How will the syntax? One example we will have. Let us discuss or let us have the integer array of having 5 values, right? So to declare arrays, we are going to discuss arrays in separate lecture, but the syntax initialize the array, right, that we are having in a of 5, right? So we just have initialized, we just have defined the array of size 5. This is nothing but size of our array, right? And which is of type integer, means this array A will store the 5 values of type integer, right? Of type integer means what will be the actual size of your array? 5, right? Into 1, 4, that is 20 bytes, right? The total 20 bytes memory will be allocated for this integer array A of size 5, right? Means every time you are going to store the values that will be stored on that memory space. Let us say this is a 5 value, right? So memory space will be there. Let us start 0. The value, whenever we are going to initialize the value, that will be stored on the array 0 to 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, likewise, right? So the total memory will be allocated, and as you are going to initialize the value at that memory location, that will be stored on the memory. Okay. So this is array initialization that we will discuss in detail while discussing the array. Then next is there is function. Again, function is also a set of instruction, right? Set of sequence of instructions that we are going to use in the function, right? Again, the size will be depend on the how much data that you are going to execute in that function, that depends on that function. Some pointers is also there. Pointer is nothing but whenever you are going to reference or you are going to display the value memory address of different variables. At that time, you can use the pointer. Size then depends on the your primitive data types that you are going to use at the time of creating pointers. Okay, so this is the second type, derived data types: array, function, and pointer. Here, array is very important as an derived data types. Functions and pointer that also we are going to discuss in detail in different lectures. Okay. The next third one we are having is user defined. User defined data types. In that, again, we are having one, two different types of data types, but the important one is that is we can say that structure, right? With the help of this struct data type, what we are going to do, we are in array the homogeneous collection was there, but in data type, user defined data type struct, we can have the heterogeneous information, right? Means you can store integer values, you can also store the character values, you can also store arrays, all those things, combinations will be there, and that combination will be stored in your structure. Again, size of your structure depends on the primitive data type that you are going to use, primitive or derived data type. Size depends on the derived primitive data types. Right? Structure, syntax of structure that we are having, that is struct, your structure name. Okay. Opening braces. In that you are going to clearly different types of primitive and derived data, right? Just like integer b, character b, integer array of 5, right? So, and closing braces, semicolon. So this is nothing but the declaration of your structure. In that, the size of your structure will depends on this or the data type that you have used in your structure, right? So this is nothing but the syntax for your user defined data type structure, right? We are also having class. We all know that class is nothing but collection of different types of methods, collection of different types of data variables, right? So the class is also user defined data type. Then enum is there. The meaning of enum is enumeration. Enumeration. Okay. The size of enum depends on size is, I think it is one more one element. It is a literals are going to be defined with the help of this enum. The syntax is there, that is enum, just like your month, days of your week, that is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. You can also have 12 months, you can have any series. So this syntax can be used to represent the enumeration data type. Okay, so these are the three data types that we just have discussed with respect to its meaning, size, and the syntax. Okay, so this is all about our today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will try to understand another topic from our object-oriented programming language. So, in today's lecture, we are going to stop here. In next lecture, we will meet again. Thank you very much.